We have a quorum. Take a motion to approve the agenda.
So, second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. I will recess the regular session and we will continue with the public hearing on the engineer's report on the tile improvements for DD 14. Go ahead.
All right, thanks. My name is Jacob Hagan. I work for Bolton and Mink. I was the engineer who signed this, and with me I have.
Bolton Cunningham.
Yep, and how many people here didn't attend the last hearing? So we
We're
got-
out of time.
okay, so we got 3 people. All right, so we'll kind of briefly go through what we went through last time. Go through the slides again, but more the focus is, we're gonna be a little more focused on what laterals and what options we're looking at this time. A reminder about objections, if you haven't filed an objection yet, you have until the end of the hearing to file an objection to the project. You also write a letter of support.
Yeah, so we're gonna kind of skip through most of the procedure stuff, because we hit it all last time. But, the gist of it is that, remonstrance hasn't been met right now. Remonstrance being 50% of the landowners owning 70% of the land filing objections, that kills a project on site. And then the trustees have the final say over what happens and, yeah, that's kind of what we're shooting for today, is to get a final decision on all these projects, including the subparts. And if you have any questions about the procedure, you can, please come see us afterwards. As to how things work. If you would like to object, you can do so before the end of this hearing. And, if you do want to object and potentially like go to court or something later, you need to have a written objection, to reserve your right to do that. So.
And today's hearing is just for the improvement options. We're just looking at the tile. This isn't an annexation or reclassification report. Those will be separate hearings for those two, if those two move forward. This is just today about should we put the tile on the ground or not. So here we have the existing tile. Here's Northwood right up here. So north is this way on this map. So you've got the existing tile. What we're focusing on is this upper portion right here. South of there, tile's been broken. The quarry, a large amount of that area is the quarry now, as opposed to actual farmland. In 1976, there was a new main constructed from just north of 450th across the railroad and dumped into the Shell Rock River, or dumped nearly the Shell Rock River, to take a lot of this land off of this lower schedule and outlet it there. That tile is undersized. It was, as well as these tiles here, but these original tiles were all put in the 19 teens. So they're over 100 years old now, and are undersized for their needs of drainage today. Does everyone remember the drain? We talked about drainage needs, looking for a half inch of drainage for 24 hours, where these were designed to about a 1/10. So significantly undersized from what we are looking for. Here we've got the soils. We see large areas of poorly drained farmland right in the kind of the heart of this upper part. Existing conditions, that old tile I was talking about was constructed in 1914. And in 1977, they put a new 24-inch main in. The green are the areas that we've pinpointed as being areas with need improvement. That 1977 tile, even though the standard at that time would have been a half inch, it was still just installed at about a 1/10. So it was undersized from even when it was put in. And then these ones here are pretty severely undersized. 0.03, 0.06, 0.06 DC at a 14, 12, and 10. They're just running a very flat grade. Lateral 4 is the one on the west side of the railroad, and it's undersized, not hitting it, about close to hitting that 10th as well. And lateral 5 is the one off to the east, off the main, upper main, again, not hitting the 10th drainage coefficient. And that these are assuming that they're in working they're in straight working order, there isn't blowouts, they haven't misaligned or cracked or anything like that. So the reality is they're probably actually functioning even less than what they were functioning as.
And you can see there's other tile that are also undersized, but we're focusing on tile that serve larger land areas and multiple landowners.
It becomes, yeah, if you've got a small tile, if you only draining 80 acres, it becomes more economical for you just to tile yourself. And they're gonna do it as a district project. So here we've got the proposed lower main. And what we've done is we've kind of taken the same thinking as a 1976 tile that runs right along here on 450th. We've put it a little bit further north so that 1976 will continue to drain this lower land down here.
You understand where you're going, that way the
Yeah.
board can see you.
Yeah. So what we're proposing is this 1976 tile would still be in existence and it would be used over here. And it would be the outlet for this lower portion down here. So that way these people, by taking all this water off of them, they're able to get full use of that 1976 inch or 1976 inch tile. We put in a new tile in here. This lower main would end here. So we'd dump into the shell rock further north, about a 40s north, 1,500 feet north of the current one. Run it through the field, across the railroad, terminate it here. And then there would be laterals off of it. We have had one objection to the lower main. Is there any questions or comments about the lower main? We'll kind of break this up so we can see what your interest is for each lateral. I think that's probably the easiest way to do this. Is there people who are, we're looking at an estimated construction cost of about 300,000 for this. It consists of 36-inch tile, about 3,100 feet of it. So an average assessed per assessed acre, about 250 per construction. There'd be the soft costs, engineering, legal, finance, I think makes up about another 25%. Is there any more questions about the lower main or? Yep,
Is this down by Keenan's Quarry?
this is north of Keene's Quarry.
That's your lower main.
Yep, the lower main, so Keene's Quarry is right here, just south of 450th. We're this red line here, so we're just a little bit north of Keene's Quarry.
We're located right on 105,
Yeah,
so we're,
you're in the annexed areas, or the areas that we talked about annexing, right?
No.
we don't know, we were not at the last meeting.
If you're on 105, you are not currently in the district. Because currently the district ends about right here.
So was this a decision made after the letters we sent out? Because we got a letter.
This class you were.
Trying.
Okay, yes, so there was a decision made when we filed the report to not annex the lands that were residential or commercial inside city limits. And I think, I remember telling you, your property, we did include, there's a house and there's like 11 acres of crop ground on it, so we did include. But at this time, we're not making a decision on the annexation. We'll have, if the board decides to annex you, we'll have an annexation hearing, and you'll be invited to that.
So we really don't have to.
You really don't have to be here for this one.
You're invited as a courtesy,
Yep.
so that you know what the project is,
The process.
yeah,
Yeah, thank you for coming.
which you could have to pay for a portion of it.
Yes.
Yeah, if
So-
we annex you in, you'll pay for it.
Even if we're annexed out, we have to.
No.
If you are brought in, you will pay. If you're not brought in, you don't pay.
Okay.
And that's a decision for the next hearing. And it seems like we go backwards, annexing people after the project.
And that's law.
Well, I know there was a lot of names in the book, and I went around to some of the neighbors and they never got a letter.
Yeah, so after that first, we filed the report, the decision was made not to annex properties that are 100% residential. Yours being some acre was brought in as opposed to ones that were like a daycare right beside you that wasn't brought in because 100% of the property was residential or commercial. It was a decision at that time. They still do have the option of being annexed, just the board of that. we found that letter recommended that it wasn't worth the hassle. Yeah, we do have your objection. And. we
That will
consider
count
you-
for the annexation hearing. We have some slides on annexation and classification, so we'll talk about that a little later too.
Back to the actual project. I guess what is everyone thinking on the lower main? Is there any show of hands? Is there anyone who's in favor of doing the lower main? Is there anyone opposed to doing the lower main? Officially, there's one person opposed to the lower main.
Mike on. Oh, this is Mike Wilkins. Well, we logged on late. And, my feeling is it follows a natural route south of 450, or I'll see you in court.
Yeah, we'll actually talk about that later. We have filed an amendment, addressing mainly your concerns, so we'll talk about that. We have a slide at the end here. We'll address that.
Yeah, maybe, should we just talk about it now?
Sure.
All right, I'll hand these out to you guys. So we did, after getting that objection, we'll go ahead and read that objection now.
Not that one.
Yeah. I guess, would you like to read it yourself? Or would you prefer?
Go ahead.
Okay. Greetings. I've been contacted by Angie Wilkins and Keith. Heldman, relative to our farm real estate comprising the south half of section 4, township 99, north, range 20, west, Fort County, Ohio. In review of the minutes of your meeting conducted November 27th, 2023, this new lower tile as currently proposed does not follow the natural course of water. As indicated in our minutes and video recording, these new deems are cheaper than going south, far an open ditch. As stated by Mike Wilkins at the meeting, the owners of the property that believe that doing basically an L to the drainage is not effective and possibly even legally inappropriate. Any drainage must follow the natural course and either proceed south across 450th Street to be joined to the river or be drained by a ditch. The owners find engineers assurance that the project will not proceed south 450th. Curious, the land south 450th will benefit from the northern water not traversing south, but will have no financial obligation for this. These owners want the drainage to follow the natural course. Water should not move in countervention to the natural water flow as the proposal was established. The issues with drainage may be caused by the tile line south of 450th having been crushed as we move forward. Again, if this is drained south and the tile follows the natural course or flows or south flowing ditch, this would be acceptable. Draining water from one watershed to the other by going west should not be implemented. Ms. Wilkins and Mr. Helgwin are opposed to this plan is currently routed. If this plan adopting westward drainage is a decision, I have shared with them that I will refer them to drainage council specializing in this type of litigation. Thank you for your consideration. For the minutes, please note that these property owners are voting no for the purpose of any future litigation. Thank you. Yours very truly, Douglas A. Cole, Attorney at Law. So that was an objection filed. So as we currently had it proposed, we're following pretty closely to what the 1976 did, in which they cut it off here and ran it west to Shell Rock River. We are following kind of a similar path. The surface water does flow south. The natural flow is south down to Keegan's Quarry and then further south down to the Shell Rock down here south 440th Street. We proposed following pretty much the same route as 1976. We filed an amendment for our reasons why. Well, do you kind of want to briefly go over it, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can go over it. I just. Yeah, so, your objection, if I'm summarizing it correctly, please let me know if I'm not. It was concerning, you had three main concerns: that the improvement doesn't follow the natural course of water, that the construction of these proposed laterals, lateral number 4, the upper main and the upper main, We're coming in at 90-degree angles, and that creates an ineffective drainage situation. And then that the lands south of 450th Street haven't been included in our cost estimates in terms of potentially paying for the project. Regarding natural course of drainage, drainage districts don't have to follow the natural course of drainage. That is a perk of drainage districts, so to speak. This isn't the first time we've split a district and crossed watershed boundaries, and you can see in 1976, the engineer then did the same thing and split the district in half. And the code says drainage districts can do that as where it's where it's more economical and more practicable. And we believe it is more economical and practicable. We get a rough cost estimate. This only shows tile. It doesn't factor in every single thing that goes into the estimate. But the difference is, so just in tile costs, we have an estimate of 818,000 for what we've currently proposed. And to get only the same amount of drainage for just these northern lands, not accounting for anything in the south that might also want to drain into the tile that ran south, you'd be talking about more than doubling the total project cost to follow the natural course of drainage.
There is a bar chart on the second, or third page that shows, it breaks it down for the main, the upper main, lateral 4, lateral 5, how much more expensive it would be if we went south as opposed to going west. So you can see it's every single lateral becomes more expensive going south. The main becomes significantly more expensive. We think that meets the threshold of being more economical and being more practical. That doesn't take into account that going south to the quarry. If we would want to dump it into the quarry, we'd have to get a permit from the DNR. I don't believe the DNR will give us that permit. So
They've spent millions of dollars ending, these are, when you dump drainage water into groundwater, that's called an ag drainage well. And the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship has spent the last 20+ years shutting those down across the state and spending millions of dollars to do it. So the odds of them giving us a permit to start a new one are next to zilch. So.
And it doesn't take into account, to get it there, we might have to go through rock to get it there too, which would add additional cost to the project as well. So we ended up, our thinking is the 1976 engineer, I think he probably thought the same thing. It does seem more practical and economical to head west straight to it as opposed to going south.
Regarding laterals flowing in at 90-degree angles, this is very standard for drainage. We use prefabricated reinforced concrete tees. And those are standard made by the concrete companies. If you want to custom make like a YT or put in a manhole, you're talking about significantly more cost. Manholes can cost over $10,000, whereas most of our tees are under $1,000 in our estimates for fabrication. So that it's significant cost savings doing it this way. And then the way these laterals are designed, they're designed at really normal grades for drainage between 0.08 and 0.25%. So you're talking about very normal speeds and energy, which means that this concrete tile, when it's installed correctly, should last to its estimated useful life of 150 to 200 years. So we don't see any concerns with designing the tile this way. Anything you'd like to add to that? Okay. And then the lands south of 450th Street, they aren't included in the cost estimates because we have reason to believe, based on historical photos in our survey, that tile wise, they have already been split from the lands from the north. So their benefit would have of not receiving those northern waters has already been realized before we have proposed anything. First, you have the 1976 tile, which intercepts the northern water and takes it west. And you also have all this quarry work that's been done through here. There's an aerial photo from 2013 that shows an open hole with groundwater seepage right over where the plat shows that tile was laid back in 1912. So that tile is no longer functioning north of here, which means it's very likely no longer functioning north of here. So it's very likely not taking any water. Now, you do have culverts through 450th Street that might take some of that surface water. We have to see just how big those culverts are, if they're adequately sized, you know. You could make an argument potentially that maybe the lands in the south could get some benefits.
Yeah.
But for the purposes of presenting these costs to you, for how you, whether you want to do this project, we chose the most conservative option, which would be to assume that they're not gonna pay for anything.
And yeah, that could be assessed, or could be addressed at the reclassification hearing, assessing some cost to the lands to the south, that could be addressed at that time.
So,
Sustained.
Mr. Wilks, do you have any questions for us? Does anyone have any questions over what we just talked about?
Well, it sounds like I'm not gonna win without an attorney. And Kenny Abrams told me at one time, what you did is illegal, you're 1976. And my crops were being badly damaged. And I should hire an attorney and get damages from the county.
It would be illegal to change the watershed if you weren't in a drainage district. If you're just doing private landowner changing the flow of water, you could run afoul of the law with that. But we believe the code is very clear about what it explicitly allows. It's section 468.4.
Well, I'm tired of my crops being flooded out. And in the previous county tile has been destroyed. Who gave it permission to be destroyed, to be abandoned?
Through the quarry, is that what you mean?
Through Falkstone and through Trent Hill and
The county did have an agreement.
why wasn't the 24-inch tile maintained? Is what I'm saying.
The 1976 inch and 24-inch tile.
No, the one that goes to the court.
Also, the one that goes to the quarry. I don't know why it wasn't maintained.
They tell me they tell me that's not kosher either. Not the county not maintaining a tile.
It would, even if it was maintained, it would still be severely undersized.
But it would have helped.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, any tile helps. I think it would still drain it at less than a tenth. Even if it wasn't properly maintained, so it would have been very small. I mean, the new tile we propose is 5 times larger. 5 times more capacity. Which is like, which is the level I think your farm needs. Is that 1/2 inch instead of a tenth?
I know 2 weeks ago, we got some questions about what happened in the 70s, but you know, Jacob, and I don't think any of the board were around for anything that happened in the 70s, and we can't really redress anything that happened back then.
No, that was supposed to keep going through the quarry. If it's cut off, I don't know what else.
But yeah, it's outside the purview of what we're just talking about the proposed improvement and whether or not to go forward with them.
Yep, and your objection has been filed, so you do have if the project moves forward, you have the right to somebody get against it. By filing an objection. It'd be, depending on if the project moves forward or not, and if you would like to move forward.
I can't understand what you said.
No, I can't.
All I hear is mumbling.
Can't understand a word you're saying.
Sorry, we were saying that, you know, your objection's been filed, and because you have a written objection on file, you have the right to litigate against the project, so.
When we intend to. That's what I'm telling you. It goes, it follows the proper route, or we'll see you in court. That's it.
Cheapest isn't always the better voice.
What did you say? We couldn't understand you.
The cheapest route is not always the best. You remember that.
Yeah, cheapest route's not the best.
Okay. So you're in favor of the.
Oh, I feel I'm
They're in favor of it.
following the natural course, or we'll see you in court. That's it.
We can vote on that route as well. We don't have plans drawn up, but if there's
So
other.
draw up plans and vote on that route.
We could
you put it through.
today, is there other landlord interest in doing so? Or is, would be more, or is there a preference to going to the west?
I know you're saying it's gonna be more expensive, but there'd also be more landowners paying for it too, right? If it went south,
There would be very few,
very few.
because the quarry basically gobbled up this whole area, so you're only gonna be adding.
You're dumping water on people, what isn't even involved in this drainage system. You're crossing 65 prematurely, you're going across my ground, dumping water on where it doesn't even belong. Keep your water in the proper watershed.
So the water, the tile's underground, so it's not gonna be dumping.
I don't give a damn where it is.
We know,
It's going the proper way or that's it.
Okay.
Easy enough.
So we'll move forward.
I understand it.
Is there other comments or questions about the Lower Main interest or?
There was one more objection that came today.
We'll go ahead and read this objection. Well, I guess would you like to read it yourself? In regards to the tiling project, we, Josh and Chelsea oppose to all proposals. We don't have farmland, our house is built on a hill, and in the 7 years we've lived on a property, and never any water problems. This is not our financial responsibility. Thank you, Josh Duval and Chelsea Duval. Where's your property?
We're on the south, we live on the south side of the county sheds. We're in a residential, we're in city limits, but our house butts up against the railroad on the south side of town, far east. We have 13 acres. And that would be like cost per acre for us that have absolutely no benefit. That was a big concern for us, like why would we be involved in paying for this when we don't have farmland? It doesn't benefit us. We have no water problems. In fact, we have a 3.5 acre pond and we're concerned any tiling being done with, it's already been, ever since Keenan Sporty did their project, our pond is drained. Probably from better water drainage already, or, you know, I'm assuming, ever since that project happened when they did the demo, water drained out of our pond. So we were concerned that even more messing with water lines would affect our property in a negative way. But we don't have farmland and we were really concerned about the cost per acre. Like for us, you know, we have a young family and it's just not something that we felt like we were, really should be concerned with this at all. So we're on that top green.
Here's this parcel here.
Yep, we have 13.5 acres right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that annexed in already?
That is already in the district.
It is,
So
okay.
it's not an annexation. It is already currently. In the district. It's already currently in the district. So as for the cost, that would be a reclass hearing. We can handle, we can look, take a look at that in the reclass hearing. You're in a little different boat than the Hogans are. Either the Hogans are not currently in the district, you are.
Right, that's
so
why
you-
I wanted to come and show up
So
for
yes,
this.
if the project moves forward, you'll be in the project, or if the project doesn't move forward. But we can take a look at your dollars at the reclass hearing.
Right now, how they're setting 6.5% benefited acres on the current schedule.
6.5.
How do you consider that benefit?
Is that-
I don't understand what that means.
Yeah, so the benefit, that would have been the original, when the original engineers established this district back in 1912, he came up with his lands that were benefited from the Tile Improvement Project. And your farm would have, or your property would have been considered benefited, likely because there was a tile that was built about right here. I'm guessing at the time it was probably agricultural land. That was certain, and that land would
Yeah,
have.
at some point it was rented out as paid land.
Mhm.
It's not any longer.
Mhm. Yep, and so the benefit would be that your water was removed quicker than it was made possible. That's what they were with the determination that that water is able to be removed from your property quicker than it was before, providing the opportunity to produce better crops. So that's what would have been the determination for.
But the fact that it's not being used for farmland now, I don't understand how it could be saying that it's a benefit for me now. I mean, maybe in the seventies when it was being used for farm, but any longer, I don't understand how it could be considered beneficial.
We legally cannot take someone off the schedule once you're on the schedule, you're on the schedule forever. So the law works for drainage.
But since our objection is in, if we wanted to, you know,
Yeah, you could litigate.
Yeah.
Project, yes. You have your objections filed, you have a vote just like everyone else. For the district.
And the reason the law is the way it is like this schedule has lasted now over 100 years and land use changes. The schedule we're making could last another 100 years. You know, it's just designed, it's not based on benefits it's not based on how you use the benefits, it's based on your potential benefit. So if somebody was farming that land, they could potentially benefit. It's
they're
kind of
putting
how-
in housing development right on the south side. It's never gonna be used for farming again. Like they're building a big, they're putting in a home.
Yeah.
It's,
Housing developments do still need drainage. I'm not gonna argue that our tile is greatly beneficial to housing developments. I understand your point. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, we can address that to reclass.
We could address the assessments because we've had that discussion with the city of Northwood on that development, on how it actually drains back to the north,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
I mean, Jacob and I sat in with the mayor and public works director, so that could all be looked at again on a
yeah, the
reclassification.
Twin Hill House, that's our neighbor, which we're on a hill. They're not, that tile backflows and their basement is no longer usable. Like the house needs to be bulldozed because the basement has so much water. The water flows in because of the lower level exit. So the tile was damaged. When we moved in, he wanted us to take on a tiling project privately, but our house is on a hill and we don't want water going away because like I said, our pond is already drained. And pond, I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but like
We've heard
it
of it.
probably has about a foot of water now, where when we moved in 7 years ago, it had like 5 to 6 feet of water in it.
Yeah.
It looks like we had recommended, because of that new development, reducing your assessment.
Yeah.
Because,
yeah,
because the water doesn't probably drain down here. It'll drain using that.
And I know,
We can't take you off legally. We can only reduce your assessment.
Once you get in the drainage district, you can't get off it.
and I know you don't want your water to drain, but the way the drainage laws have been written years ago, that's the benefit of it. So the best we could do is a reclass, readjust the value, the amount you would pay to minimal. Because technically that water is going a different direction and that's what was discussed before in that little area.
I mean, used to, the DNR used Andy's pond as like a homing for like otters and did like projects for the town, like it was a beneficial water area. So I think draining it would be a very, like having it lower is actually sad for not just myself that own the property, but the kids that play there, the animals that are there. I know that this is really not part of your guys' city, but like, it's something that
Yeah.
really affects us.
Right. So I don't think we, like say, we would make adjustments. There's nothing we can change with the water now. Because actually what the development did is gonna change that water to bring it back north
It's gonna
anyway.
change it.
Yeah, so. But yeah, we would look at the actual, what you're assessed anymore, because that area is in question. So when that reclassification comes along, that's when we get brought up again.
And there will be a separate hearing for that.
You'd get another letter, you get another notification on it. So.
Go to the upper main.
Yeah, sure. So I guess, yeah, at this point, nothing's at the monstrous level. So that means everything's on the table for the board to vote yes on. So we've got the proposed lower main. Lower main, if you want to do any of the other laterals, the lower main has to be done. Because it's the one that connects everything together. So the lower main is if you want to do any other improvements, the lower main has to be done, basically. We'll move on to the upper main. Upper main it serves the land east of the railroad and north. Draining kind of this ridge there that's pretty wet. Everything south of it. Is there anyone in favor or opposed to the upper main? And Randy Johnson, you're probably the largest landowner on this lateral. This does include the area that would be in town as well. And I guess all our plans, I didn't say before, they don't have to be all done. We could always do half of a ladder. If you want to get a tile to your outlet and then you got your pattern tile, if you want to stop it there, we can do that, or we could. And like we said last time, these are all good for 10 years. So today you want to do the lower main, and then 3 years from now, you want to come back and do the upper main. That's always an option, but we're looking at about a mile, exactly about a mile of 24-inch tile proposed at $318,000. Is there any comments from people on the upper main?
I guess that would be something I'd be interested in, getting it up to my property line, but probably not even part of it. My question is, if this thing's gonna go to court, which obviously it's going to, then all that cost gets brought out to us too, if it does end up going through, then what costs are all additional to this.
Yes.
The district pays for it, yeah.
If the district will have to hire an attorney.
And are you pattern tiled now?
That lower
portion?
is, so yes, right where they've got it coming up to my property is
So if you got the main to there,
be perfect.
and then that would tie into that 1976,
Yeah,
is that right?
This one,
well, yeah, then if we went down to their new one, it'd be.
so it doesn't tie into the 1976 tile, like, we've only served this portion here. And then we run the lateral. Our new lateral is about 1,500 feet north of the 1976 tile.
We don't wanna tie it into the 1976, cause it would overload it even more.
Yeah, the 1976 is only,
Can't take it,
it's only 1/10 of the inch coefficient. If any of these laterals go forward, the lower main really should go forward, because it's the only one that's gonna provide you the outlet. That the other ones are gonna need.
That's the other thing, normally that thing's running pretty full and it's not. This summer it wasn't running at all.
Right.
Yeah, because of the, you know,
We've had-
rain, but yeah,
We've had a couple dry years. here.
right,
That's, yeah, it's not, the water's not a problem right now, but it will
No.
be, we know it'll come back.
it'll be here, yeah.
We hope.
Yeah, I would like to get a call, you know, sit down with you and see what it would
Yeah, we could
cost me,
break,
because obviously I'm paying for
we could break that
a
down,
lot of that.
because it would be, it looks like it's less than half,
Yeah,
so. We could break that down after the meeting. We're voting, oh, yeah, we could break that down here.
We don't,
We
we
can,
necessarily have to vote today.
no, you can continue this here again.
can continue it.
Yeah, we could continue it again and maybe have Jim Hudson 10 for, if you'd like, now, legal counsel.
What do you guys think on the lower main? The guys that it'll affect, I mean, if that main goes up to Randy's property, obviously, there's gonna be some benefit for you guys between there, and then tying that in and making that, sizing that lower main the way it should be.
You
Yes.
mentioned at the last meeting too,
No,
you'd like to see just the lower main at least done.
I'd like to get that done just because of the railroad and the road, if they're being that paid for by the state and the railroad. It'd be nice to get that done, yes.
Should we go ahead and report? We'll move through them all, and we can come back, we can circle back around. So lateral 4 is on the west side of the railroad. It follows closely on the lateral over there. It's 18-inch tile, 163,000, but we've estimated that one at. I guess we haven't heard anything about this. Is there anyone who owns property on this side who's here today? Other than Wilkes, Wilkins? You do you have any interest? You own these properties?
No. It's all,
Right here?
no.
Okay. Do you have interest in this tile? We could even end it. Or would you like it? There.
There is, it's the outlet. Then there is two big tiles that go through them. But they're always, overwhelming. I know the city is gonna take some water away from us,
That there, yeah.
and I think that'll help.
The other thing we have done before is we have bid laterals before. Let's say the lower main gets approved. We bid laterals with the idea that if the bids come back good, we'll take them off. So we have done that before as well. It's kind of, hope we get a good price, let's move forward. If we don't get a good price, we can take it off of that. Option. We always have at least something that is gonna move forward. Officially, Wilkins is the only one who would have objected to this lateral.
To that lateral as well.
Because if you're objecting to the lower main, Wilkins, are you objecting to all the tile or just the route the lower main is going down?
I can't hear you. But I can't hear them.
Is your objection to the lower mains route? You didn't mention anything on the lateral tiles. Are you in favor or opposed to the lateral tiles that are on your property? We've got a lateral number 4 proposed. It's shown up as a red one on the screen right now.
Well, I can't see the screen. I still can't see the screen.
Oh, really, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, that's not on the Zoom.
I forgot to get into the Zoom this time.
Yeah, so this is the lateral that runs just west of the railroad. About a quarter mile west of the railroad, it runs north.
Oh, it needs fixed underneath the railroad.
No,
west of the railroad. This is the one that it doesn't cross the railroad. It's west of the railroad. It would tie into that lower main as we have it currently designed. We were wondering what your thoughts on that one was.
Like I say, without seeing a map, I'm not gonna.
It's this one that goes there on the big field. There's the tracks.
Yeah,
It's the one going north and south. They're one right near that one.
no, I think that one should follow the natural course of the water also.
Well, it's broke, it needs
Yeah.
fixed too.
That one does.
It does go.
Right.
Assuming you put in a lower main, it does follow the natural course of water.
Yes. And then lateral 5 is the one that is east of the railroad. It comes up and ends here, right, kind of like the corner of your property. The 24-inch, and down to 18, $150,000 spending costs. Is there any other land, well, you're on it, is there any other landowners who are on this? I don't think you're on it, anyone.
We go up into mine just a little bit.
A little bit, and then
Right there.
right here.
Oh, that little jog out isn't mine? On the left hand side? Oh,
This corner of yours. This is your farm here. Right, your farm is this one right here.
but it even gets up into mine up on the way left. The left-hand side.
Talking about the red. Oh, the red line here.
Yeah, oh, that doesn't, but my farm. I would
Oh,
be
yeah,
paying-
your farm.
I'd be
Oh,
paying
yeah,
for
right
part of
there.
that, so-
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that's what you were asking. Yeah.
So yeah, this red one would come up to your property line.
Yeah.
For you guys, for you.
Randy Johnson.
You guys officially filed an objection to the project.
Hope that just spraying and be too much.
duct earlier, maybe just the lower one, if it's gonna be a problem, you know. Disregarding litigation, you guys would be interested in the lower. You're in there. Us. It's got,
Yeah, I think you need to see what's going on there.
lower main. If there was a court issue involved. Here's letter 5, the next one, I think the next one. Has met remonstrance, it was DD 5 lateral. It comes up, kind of comes into your corner. It drains the far eastern lanes, I think that one's already met remonstrance, so.
I vote against that one too, because that's my property. So,
Yeah, the last discussion we had, that was kind of gonna be off the table, right?
Got extending that up, you didn't, that went through your land, right? Yeah.
You felt everybody kind of felt over there's adequate drainage there, right? Okay.
So now that brings us back to. Brings us back, I guess, to the lower main. Do we want to make a decision? Do we want to wait? Give Jim Hudson a call and have him take a look at the legal situation of it.
But they had a rough idea what the cost would be on something like this.
Depends how long it lasts.
That's all.
You know who makes money on those?
Yeah.
None of us. If it goes to trial, it'll be expensive.
I am pretty confident it'd be cheaper than going south.
Yeah, it'd still be cheaper to go through court than to go south.
It's already expensive enough if you're getting first class.
Right.
It's not gonna.
And we can table this and get a legal opinion. Yeah, I think the probably code, I mean, I'm just an engineer, but I think the code is on our side.
Effective drainage would be equal, I mean, wouldn't it, or better possibly by going the shorter route?
Yeah, so it's more economical, it's more practical, so we don't go through rock, we don't have to get any permits or anything, we don't have to deal with the quarry.
Yeah. Yeah, the design to drainage comes out the same.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
The
so
design factors are the same, so the water, whatever can handle the same. Plus you don't have to worry about any future damage from the quarry.
in every way, I think it's more economical.
Spend $2 million putting a line in, and then the quarry takes half of it out again at some point, probably.
So when I asked the county for crop damages, what's that gonna cost?
So, like, we go to that slide, I've got images. So when we do construction, what we recommend, I always recommend construction in the summer. I know a lot of people like to do it in the winter. I don't want to do it in the winter, just you're dealing with mud, frost. You get hired bids, nobody wants to work with it. Do it in the summer, you can do it. Everyone just is happier, get better bids. So what we do in the summer then is that we have to knock the crop down. So what we've recommended is we pay 110% of the county average crop yield. We just use the Iowa State reported yields. And we do 110% of that. When we time to buy what Iowa State comes out with their yearly, the last 12 months, what the average price was. So we do a one-time payment for that initial crop. This is what we recommend. The board would have the right to change this to completion hearing, which will be held after the project. So you get compensated for that reduced crop, and then for compaction, soil fertility, mixing, all that rock pickup, tillage, we recommend paying 2 years cash rent. On top of that. So if there is, the district will pay your rent for the next 2 years. You'll still have a crop it, farm it, but any lost revenue due to compaction or due to soil mixing, because you're gonna have to refertilize, everything like that. So that's what we've recommended. And we recommended for the area that we damage. Any landowners would be able to submit claims for damages. You can submit their own claims or object of what we've recommended. So it'd be the hearing just kind of like today. That's how we handle crop damages, which crop damages, I always, they end up adding up. But I still think they're cheaper than doing work in the winter. You get a better bid in summer and you usually move faster. And you don't, if you do it in the work in the winter, you're still gonna pay that compaction damages, in fact, you probably be worse.
I'm not worried about your crop damages putting the tile in. What I'm talking about is the previous years of crop damage to my farm.
They've drowned out.
I've lost 40 acres of crop a year for the last 20 years.
Because county tile is broke, nobody would go under the tracks to fix it.
I asked for help and I've just been ignored. So
The only real remedy that I know of for wet crop situation is to put tile in. And that's the drainage district. You can ask for a new tile to the drainage district. Tile is really the only remedy for lost crop. It's a future crop, it's preventing future crop, past crop losses, or there is no remedy for past crop losses.
Mike, I got a question for you. This is AJ. If that tile main went to the west like they're proposing, do you feel you would benefit from that or not?
I'm not gonna speculate. I don't know. I feel probably not for the amount of water that's coming. There's a horrendous amount of water pools up in ponds.
If we drop from.
What can we do? What can we do to help you benefit then to save that 40 acres?
Well, drainage isn't my specialty and I feel these guys talking, it really isn't theirs either. So maybe an open ditch straight south so we can see what's going on.
You'd have to cut that through the quarry.
So.
Well, the quarry's already been cut up. There's already holes dug there. It's probably half dug for you now. There's pits and what have you.
Yeah, those pits dump into groundwater, which we can't do.
DNR doesn't allow that anymore.
And from a ditch, typically the price cutoff where a ditch becomes more economical than tile is a 48-inch tile. Because you have to buy all the land from the landowner to build a ditch. It becomes very expensive today to build a ditch because you buy all that ground. So this tile is a 36-inch tile that we proposed.
36 isn't gonna be big enough. I just know it. It isn't gonna be big enough. The county's come out and closed the roads before. Then going west, when you get that 30 acres across 65, it has to come above ground. Mr. Dalby has a tile coming across that 30 now, and there's blowouts because there's only 6 inches of ground above it. I have to farm around it.
So the 36-inch tile, it's designed to drain half an inch per acre in the watershed per day. So that means
That's not enough.
it won't be enough for
You're
very
still gonna
large-
damage my crops. You're damaging 40, I'm losing 40 acres a year. You just don't get it.
Typically the half-inch is adequate drainage.
It isn't adequate.
We've
You just don't get it.
modeled on it.
So
I don't care what your models are.
would you prefer a larger?
Mr. Chair, I say we just continue this hearing some other day. This isn't gonna go anywhere.
Just got a legal opinion on it.
That's a motion to continue the hearing to
I'd say
the
we
future date
stop the
for a legal
conversation.
opinion?
Yeah.
I'll second.
And I got a second on it. We need to set a time and a date.
Well, if you continue damaging my ground, there's gonna be a legal opinion.
Well, we're gonna continue the hearing for a legal opinion on it, so we know.
Yeah, I understand that.
we'll be here next Monday.
You just have this.
Yeah, that-
DD two, so you're here,
Just
so
DD2, so we could do it
shouldn't be
after
that
that.
big deal. Let's do it after that. DD two would
What
be
time's
first,
DD two?
9:30.
9:30.
So do this one at 11?
We can do it at 10.
Okay.
That
DD2
DD2
won't
should
take
be.
forever.
should be
Okay.
quick.
So we're gonna do it next Monday.
Monday, the 18th.
And we'll send our information to Jim Hudson.
Perfect.
He's retired.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to continue this hearing until the 18th at 10 o'clock. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. I will reconvene the regular session and take a motion to adjourn.
So.
Second. I got a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. 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 We are adjourned.
We'll see you guys next Monday.